So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I see I'm looking through our list here. We've got, through the Coffee with Craig show, we've got already about 40 people, and through our LinkedIn app, we've got 87. So we got enough people, I think, to get it going. And of course, through our app and through our event app and through our through the Zoom, I mean, we have a few more. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our Europa Property SEE Real Estate Awards Forum. And today we're going to be discussing office development in an investment panel, and is Central or Southeastern Europe bringing us new investors. Just to kick everything off, I'd like to just thank all of our sponsors for supporting us and supporting this event. Without them, we couldn't have such a great event. And we have so just our premier partners is Haga Development Europe, CTP. We have many award sponsors this year, which is great. AFI Europe, Bogart, Brisk, SEMO, Optum Project Management, EMO Finance, Lions Head, and Stratulat Abulescu. So thank you for being award sponsors. And we have our Flex Office partner, which is Newark, our sustainability partner, which is Bill Green, and our business intelligence partner, which is corporate due diligence and investigation. So maybe Winston, we'll start with you because you'll be doing some of the questions. So let us know things.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Good morning, everyone. My name's Winston. I'm the editor at EuropaProperty.com. I'll be helping with the moderating the panel today. And I'd like to encourage the audience to post any questions for the panelists in the Q&A or the chat boxes below.
Okay, great. And I'll handle any of the questions we get from our LinkedIn group or our Coffee with Craig group that's also linked into this system. All right, well, great. Just to kind of kick things off, I'd like to just have all the speakers introduce themselves and say a few words about their company and what they're doing. Emma Toma from AFI Europe, we'll have you go first, yeah?
Hello, good morning, everybody. And thank you very much, Europa Property, for the invitation. I'm representing the office division of AFI Europe Romania. As you all know, AFI is one of the most important players in Europe on the real estate market and also in Romania. Recently, actually last year, we almost doubled our office portfolio through a transaction that is very well known in the market, and it was the most important one done so far in Romania. So currently we are close to 300,000 square meters of offices as portfolio. Of course, we are we are a leader not only on the office market in Romania, but also on retail, and we also have a residential project very successful already through his first phase already sold.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you for the introduction. And Daniela Abulescu from SEMO, welcome.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Thanks, Europa Property. Thanks, Greg, for the invitation to be part of this panel. I'm one of country manager for SEMO Romania. SEMO, maybe for the one that they don't know, it's an investment company with its head office in Vienna, listed on the Vienna Stock Exchange. We invest exclusively only in Europe Union, with the main focus on the city capitals in Austria, Germany, and CE. 70% of our portfolio consists of commercial properties, and remaining 30% are approximately on residential property. In CE, SEMO not invest in residential, only in the commercial property. And yes, we are proud also of our portfolio.
Sure.
that with our portfolio that we have, and the balance, let's say, portfolio mix. In Romania, for example, we have also shopping center, offices, hotel also.
Okay,
Maybe
great. Well,
it
thanks for
makes sense to
the introduction. Jean Margescu from Forte Partners, welcome.
Good morning, and thank you very much for inviting me. Unfortunately, I have nothing to be proud of because we have no portfolio. All our buildings have been sold, and we only have buildings under development. So, but still, we are trying to create such a portfolio. We are keen in investing in office projects. We do some residential, but I don't think it's the subject of this panel today. Referring to the office developments, we have two main projects under construction. One is known as Sector 0, it's downtown Bucharest on Calea Victoriei, with two office buildings, Milo and Tandem. And another one is called U Center, with almost 65,000 square meters of office spaces in two phases. The first one is almost finalized, and the second one will be started maybe towards the second part of this year or the first part of next year. So we're looking forward to discuss the very interesting subjects of today.
Yeah, great, thank you. And Victor Croitoru from Sentient.
Sentient. So hello everybody, nice to meet you, and thank you, Craig, for the invitation.
Great to have you.
Yes, I'm representing a company called Sentient. We are a project and cost management company activating throughout Central and Eastern Europe. I'm the head of the Romanian office, also doing some activity in the countries around. We are basically, as I said, focused mainly on project cost management, representing clients in developing different types of properties. We also work with many banks to support their financing, for developments, and also we are also heavily involved in technical due diligences for variety of transactions, for sellers, for buyers, for banks, and so on, insurance.
So busy year this year?
Actually, last year was much busier than I thought it would be, in March. I thought it's going to be a quiet year, and so far this year, yeah, it's doing quite well, despite, this third COVID wave that we have here in Eastern Europe. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems like all over the region, there's a lot of construction going on.
Well, there is a lot of construction, and it's a complicated year for development because you have supply issues because of COVID, time delays. There is a recession, and you have maybe some labor becomes available, but on the other side, if you look for certain specialities, you still cannot find them. So it's a complicated year in terms of construction. Yes.
Right. David Hay from Add Value Management, welcome.
Thank you, Craig. Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to take part in this panel. I'm the local partner of Morgan Stanley. We invested together in America House, one of the iconic office buildings in Bucharest. And currently we are looking to further invest in Romania in the PRS sector.
PRS. Okay, great. And Dieter, great to see you again. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Hi. How are you? You good?
All good. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself, or maybe there is someone in our whole audience that doesn't know you.
Of course. No, I mean, I'm responsible for Central and Eastern Europe at PBB Deutsche Pfandbriefbank. We have overall a portfolio of around about 2 billion. And in CE, we do new business of around 800 million each year. We had quite a good year last year as we financed a couple of office deals and also a retail transaction in Romania. And overall, we are positive about the market and also about Romania. Okay,
great. Well, we'll even start with the first question to you, and we'll roll it out from there to everybody else. How do you, just from what we've already started to see, what do you think for Southeastern Europe and as far as investors looking at office and looking at adding something to their portfolio or buying office buildings in the region? Are you getting some questions on it? Are you getting some people that want to put in offers for them for the financing?
Yeah, of course. No, we see activity. Of course, I mean, as it is always, I mean, we see a lot of activity, for example, in Poland, yeah, as this is the dominant market in core Central Eastern Europe.
Mhm.
But also, I think because of still available yield spread, you see good opportunities also in Romania. And I think, for example, at the moment, we are working on a potential acquisition, also an office deal in Bucharest. But I mean, it's mainly prime what is asked for. And then, of course, the question is, okay, how much product is available? Yeah, and but you have good quality assets also in Bucharest. Also, we did a deal last year, or even in the region. But of course, you have to see what about vacancy, what about subletting? I mean, these are the questions at the moment. But still, I mean, if it comes to good assets, good locations, I think you have well-led assets, and you have investors looking at that. Yeah.
And now, is there some, like you brought up the tenants? I mean, is there some tenants that maybe a year ago you would say, wow, that's great, they're in there, we're gonna lend on it? Or is there tenants now that you're thinking, gosh, I know 90% of their staff isn't in the office and they may never come back, so maybe a risk later, right?
It's mainly if it comes to single tenant buildings, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have, because I mean, you haven't seen that many, for example, in Bucharest, but in other cities where you had then larger buildings just with one tenant.
Sure.
And of course, there you see major sublettings, yes, because I mean, they had long leases, and there they see, okay, issues coming up. But overall, I would think if you have a well-spread, good-led building, yeah, of course, they are discussing, well, probably to defer 1 or 2 quarters of rent. But at the moment, we don't see really big vacancies coming in the assets, at least the ones we finance.
Right. So even if the employees aren't there, it's still not a disaster. You think they're going to come back paying the rent and continue to pay the rent, yeah?
At the moment they do. Of course, always the question, how long lasts right now the third wave? And of course, when we had discussions last year, everyone said, okay, well, right now there is a wave. And after that, there will be a huge jump in terms of domestic income product. And I mean, all the ratios will go up. This is so far not the case.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, if you see stock exchange and I mean the expectations from people, I think everyone believes that after right now the vaccination program gets done, and right now the lockdown will be probably also end in I mean before summer, probably in May or let's see, yeah, May or June, that we then at least in the third quarter see I mean a light at the end of the tunnel.
Right. Emma, Toma, I'd like to get your opinions on sort of the office market from a tenant point of view, and kind of how you see it growing or not growing, and also from an investor point of view, because you're also looking at selling some of these buildings in the future, yeah. But you're on mute.
Yeah. So actually, to speak numbers, the situation is not so bad. Although the vacancy increased last year, which was natural, it's approximately, according to the studies, is approximately 12% in Romania. So again, it's not so dramatic. I can tell from our experience with the tenants, and last year and at the beginning of this year, we had some good signs coming from our tenants, meaning part of the biggest companies that we have as tenants, they renewed the leasing contracts. So basically, last year, to give you again numbers, we concluded approximately 40,000 square meters in our portfolio as renewals and new leases, which is a good number. We have tenants like Electronic Arts. They renewed the contract and they also expanded already. So we have good signs coming from the leasing activity. Now there's the issue of returning back to the offices, and there are, of course, the feedback from the tenants is that they would like to work in a safe environment. So what we are doing as a developer, we are making sure that we have safe buildings, that implement measurements that are encouraging the tenants to come back to the office and make them feel safe in our buildings. There is a very interesting study that KPMG did last year among the CEOs in the world, and if last year the opinion of 73% of the CEOs was that they are targeting to recruit only people that would like to work from home, the numbers are different at the beginning of this year, and it seems that only 20% of the CEOs are keeping the same opinion, and most of them they believe that people will come back to the office soon. Of course, come back soon. Of course, it's correlated with the percentage of vaccination in Romania, and they believe that as soon as we reach to 50% of the population in Romania vaccinated, it will open the door to come back to the office faster. So by the end of this year, the expectations is that most of the people will return to the office. Of course, it will be a mix between how many days you spend at the office and how many days you stay home. Probably people will prefer to have 1 or 2 days working from home. But the trend is to be back at the office and to return in a way to the previous way of working.
Right.
So, and again, even if the, let's say, the leasing activity slowed down a little bit lately, meaning last year, at the beginning of this year, we see new clients in the market, even new companies that are targeting to open the activity in Romania.
Mm-hmm.
These are good signs.
Right, great. And Daniela, how do you think the rest of the year is going to go from the tenant side and leases, and let's say even from new investors looking at the market for office?
Yes, let's say talking about the office, which is one of the main subject of the panel. ESIMO, it's present in the CE more than 2 decades already, mm-hmm. And yes, we can we believe in the office for mid to long term. One of the reasons that we can underline here that in 2020, ESIMO acquired an office building in Zagreb, in Croatia, mm-hmm. with a lettable area of 15,000 square meters, is very attractive location, CBD, and with excellent public connection to public transportation. And it's also in Bucharest with the 2 beautiful buildings, Campus 6.2 and 6.3, for which a purchase agreement was just signed in December 2020, and where property is expected to enter, to be transferred within ESIMO portfolio in at the second quarter of 2021. Mm-hmm. So one of the reasons that we believe in office, we just acquired recently 2 beautiful properties. And if it's end of the office, because everybody I think it's asking this question, at least most of the clients of tenants, is the truth. To be sincerely, we should recognize it that coronavirus affected this sector. it's clear that not so much affected like the other, like tourism, entertainment, retailer, but it's effective. In my opinion, also in the office market, COVID has accelerated certain tendencies. So talking about, let's go through some major points like remote, like we are doing now, not being together in a big room like
Right.
all the year.
Having fun, yeah. Exactly.
Having fun together. We are in front of the screen, but remote work will become a permanent fixture. Mm-hmm. Not for all the companies. That is clear. Not all of them they can do it like that. We believe that the companies, because we address it to the companies that they want to support and to have a teamwork and culture, corporate culture. It's clear that that it will come. Therefore, will be an integration of remote work, clear in the work model of the future most of the company. Mm-hmm. And this remote work, indeed, I agree with also with Emma that the previous said that it will increase, in my opinion, a little bit the vacancy rate because of this remote work. It's clear that it will be maybe. I know Emma said somewhere at 12%, yes, between 10, 20, we believe it's something like that. Okay, the figure is difficult to say.
Yeah, you never know, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, we don't have the crystal ball, it's clear, but at least we have some figures that we can count on. It's clear that it will appear these sublease alternatives because of the pressure of the tenant on the cost. And it's clear that this work life and this switch between reality, virtual, and this or combined virtual reality, it will be part of our life. So we will work from home. We believe that we will work from home. This trend, in my opinion, existed even before. A lot of companies, they started even pre-COVID environment to start to work from home 1 day per month, 2 days per month. But let's say homework will be part of our life, but offices, I believe that also it will be. For all the companies that want to support interactions, and this cannot happen through remotely, in our opinion. So it will come some changes here, some adaptation, adjustment on the surfaces, let's say. Mm-hmm. Maybe because they will review very well the cost, depending on the culture of each companies.
Right. Okay. Thank you, David. Just to jump to you. Can you tell us a little bit about how America House is going? I mean, as far as leasing and occupancy, and any big changes since COVID, and also when you said you're doing PRS, are looking for PRS property. Residential now. Does that mean you're off the market for buying new office buildings as well? It wasn't that clear, but
No, definitely not. We are not off the market. We are more opportunistic in nature. So it's not that we are off the market in the office segment, but currently we are looking at a very good opportunity in the PRS, and our aim is to increase to have at the end a portfolio of around 2,000 to 3,000 units. Okay. So it means that we will concentrate on this at the moment, and if very good opportunity comes also in the office sector, of course we look at it, but we will concentrate for the moment on the PRS. In general, I would like just to add that I agree with both Daniela and Emma view of the market. I would just like to say that regarding the sublease market, there are a lot of discussions about the sublease market, and we know that there are between 60 to 80 or even more thousand square meter offered on the sublease market. But if you look at the actual numbers of deals and sizes, I think that no more than 2 or 3 major deals were done as a sublease deals. So we need to put it in proportion, and I think that this will slowly disappear in the next 1 or 2 years maximum. I don't see it surviving more than this. And if I look at the office market in general, and I can get some of the experience that we have here in Israel, and in Israel we are back at work already a few months ago. And we see that the office market is doing very well. Everybody is back to work. There is some work from home, but I think that it's around the 20% at home and the rest in the office. So there are not major changes in the office market. I assume that maybe in Europe it will be more than that because of the difference in culture and so on. So I think that maybe work from home will be 20-30%, but I don't expect people to do more than 30% at home. So at the end, I think that we might see a small increase in vacancy in the coming 1 or 2 years, but at the end it will balance. And in 2 years' time, I think that we will see this. The COVID effect really, we will not feel it in 2 years' time, and the market will reach a new balance, and we will go from there. I don't think that offices are that segment. Maybe retail is, but offices are here to stay. And if regarding America House, we bought America House in 2019 in September, and since then, actually, the COVID did very good for us because we had maybe 10% of the employees in the building, and we did a lot of renovation during this time. So for us, it was a very good time. We could do all the renovation, the refurbishments that we needed. Without having too much effect on the employees on the building in terms of noise, dust, and so on. And right now we are almost completed with the indoor finishing, with the indoor refurbishment. So it came right in time. So
right.
And in terms of vacancy, we are at the same level that we were a year ago, which is around 20%. But because of the refurbishment, we were not in a hurry to lease it. So. Right now, when COVID is slowly disappearing, hopefully, we will probably start to lease the building again.
Right. Well, talking about refurbishment, I'll jump back to Victor. I mean, I would imagine just looking at all the hotel owners and shopping center owners and people that have decided to, even refurbish their, we were looking to book the Intercontinental in Budapest, and they're like, oh yeah, we're going through a major remodel there now for the next year or so. So I imagine you guys must have picked up a little bit of business from some of these remodeling jobs that maybe wouldn't have appeared. Yeah. You're on mute.
Remodeling, yes, it's happening, but as you said, it's hotel business. Not too many office buildings are doing major remodeling right now. Yes, if you have a large tenant coming in, you do like a fit out.
Sure.
Some works, let's say doing the lobbies after 10, 12, 15 years, the building is aged and you do refurbishment for the lobbies. But in office building, yeah, David Hay has done a large refurbishment of his building, but still, I think it's new development that is kind of driving the market still.
Right.
I would like to come back to one of the discussions about, yes, working from home, 20-30% of people, and this may kind of put pressure on vacancies. But I'm also seeing, even before COVID, I'm seeing this space per person. Before it used to be like 1 to 6, 1 to 8. It slowly moved 1 to 10, 1 to 12. And now with COVID, you still have like the employees, they want to have their own space, like don't breathe into my face. So yeah, there is a pressure to, working from home will decrease maybe the amount of people will be needed into the office for a given company. But then in the other side, those people that will be in the office, maybe they want to have more space. So here it's a balance.
Yeah, for sure. No one wants to be jammed into a small office room, right, with 6 other people or something, at least at the moment. Joe, can you give us kind of your opinion on the, let's say, the office market for the rest of the year? But, you know, time goes by really fast in this business. So 2022 is, you know, on the way, and, you know, are we going to be back to normal, do you think? Or what part of that do you think how do you see the market changing or evolving?
Now that the €1,000,000 question has been answered, and who's behind the COVID, I realize Israeli and Americans, that they were reshaping their buildings. So I think yes, things will get back to normal sooner than we expected. I believe I've seen more and more employees coming to the office. We as a landlords all around let's say the major developers in Bucharest, they are all doing mainly the same thing, keeping their buildings on the healthy side of the business, and organize the let's say return to the office of all the employees. I see the fact that this big trauma of subletting is not an issue anymore. Everybody was scared, including myself, that 60, 80, maybe 100,000 square meters were available on the market, and therefore this will kill the demand for new office space. But it didn't happen for one reason or another. Subletting didn't happen unless except very small transactions. And what it can happen in the near future will be a bit of more vacancy because of this big huge office tenants maybe reducing a little bit their space, and this is another question, how much they will be reducing their space, if they will reduce. And this might create a little bit of, I mean, we as a developer we need to be careful in how much we deliver per year in the Bucharest market. But I think that this work from home will also reshape the spaces, and we see the work from home. I see it not as a pandemic issue anymore, but as an incentive. I mean, the habits of working are different now. Employees and employers realize that they might be a little bit more effective if they work maybe 1-2 days per week from home. But this will also trigger the changing of the internal layouts, the increasing spaces, changing of common areas, and together with those trends, we'll see new investment, and together with new investments, we'll see new leases and longer leases. So I think, let's say the market is in a balance right now, and things will get back to normal sooner than we expected.
Right, and you know, on the go ahead, Emma.
Yeah, just I wanted to add and to support what Joe and David said. Coming from the leasing point of view, the subleases are not really a threat because they come up with restrictions and additional costs. So Joe was wondering why it's not really so dramatic that we have this number of square meters for sublease. Yes, again, they are coming with restrictions and with additional costs. And as for refurbishment, I think it's a very good moment to do refurbishment. We are also doing in Afi Lakeview, one of our projects. I'm sorry that, are you okay?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
We are also doing a refurbishment of the common areas in Afi Lakeview, and also it's a good moment to improve a little bit the technical specifications of our office buildings in a way of improving the air quality, which is very important for the tenants in these times of COVID. For example, are installing we already concluded actually the installation on all the common areas in all our office projects, and not only, also in the shopping centers, some air purification through ionization systems, which is unique actually in Romania. It's the first time when someone is implementing such a measure. this is improving the quality of the air and improving the technical specification of the buildings. So again, this is a good moment also for some construction works, which are focusing on refurbishments and improvements in the technical side.
Yeah, sure. Winston, I see we have a couple of questions popping up. Do you want to field a couple of those before we move on?
I've got a question for Emma Thoma. And the question is, where is the office demand coming from? What tenants are currently looking for space? And can they secure better contracts now?
You know, in the last years, and that's why we were very successful with one of our, actually two of our office projects, AFI Park and AFI Tech Park. The main demand and the strongest demand was coming from the ITNC sector. For the moment, actually, we see requests from other fields of activities, more than from ITNC. And actually, what is important to underline these days is that although it is a trend of requesting more flexibility and different conditions, like, for example, short-term leases, more flexible financial conditions. Somehow, all the transactions that were done lately are in the line of AAA leases, you know. So again, there are some somehow some it's a mirage, you know. I don't know how to say it in English, but like the sublease trend, it's also the trend of less strong leasing conditions that tenants are requesting. It's not really happening. Everybody's trying, but I think that the most important tenants and the ones that we are targeting as well are strong companies that have visibility on long term, and they can commit on 5 years contracts, 7 years contracts. They have visibility on their activity, and we do have this kind of tenants. Again, part of them, they renewed the contracts, and they renewed not only on 5-year contract but also on 7-year contracts. So this is what is happening currently.
Okay, great. Anybody else over there on your side, Winston, asking questions?
Yeah, I've got a question for Victor, and they're asking, how will the impacts of COVID-19 affect office demand and locations in the future?
Thank you for the question. I think I'm more like I'm better to advise on like construction costs rather than office demand, because that's what I work on. But yeah, office demand, we do see it coming around and coming from outside Romania. I think over the next few years is not going to be a problem, because there is this reshoring happening, you know, within Europe. Businesses are coming back, and if they are going to come back, you know, they're going to come back to, let's say, less expensive places to develop, and also labor costs. So I think Romania still has a future, you know, in terms of the office for many years to come. Question mark is, you know, construction costs, you know, what is going to happen? We have seen recently some higher prices in steel, concrete, labor also has been increasing even before COVID. So yeah, there is opportunities in this market. There are challenges, you know, location, proper plot availability for offices is also becoming more of an issue in all of these bigger cities in Central and Eastern Europe, you know, head to head with urbanistic requirements by the local authorities and so on.
Winston, do you have any other questions over there? I see a couple of Q&As and chats lighting up. So
Yeah, another question is on the development side, what proportion of the pipeline will be delivered?
I think if you allow me to answer this question, I see the market being healthy for the following 2 years with something in around 150,000 square meters new deliveries per year. Within this number, I think we will not expect any big vacancies or market disruptions. More than 200, 250,000 per year might become a problem, but I'm sure all the developers in Bucharest, at least, will see that that this might be a problem, and some of deliveries will be within this number.
Yeah, I guess it just comes down to whether they're getting the pre-leases done or not, right?
I mean, in times like this, you need to, again, to keep a lot of meat on your bones. So we need to be daring and to develop, for sure, not too much, not to oversupply. But once you have the building, you have the tenant. So that's quite important.
I think that the development activity will be affected by the recent actions of the city hall in Bucharest. I'm talking about Bucharest regarding the existing PUZs, the planning permits, and I think that this will have an effect on the development, and we'll see few projects that will be delayed because of this.
Right. And Victor, there was you mentioned that you're more interested in talking about the costs of development or the costs of construction. I've been noticing a lot more press releases coming in of people getting well certificates on their buildings. So what is the difference in cost? I mean, I know you have to put, I mean, maybe percentage wise, I know that you have to put in different airflow systems and, you know, kind of upgrade the building from what you would normally build, let's say. So how is that, you know, influencing the construction costs?
I think it influences construction costs not to such a large degree. I mean, most buildings, I think all of the buildings have some sort of green certification right now, LEED or BREEAM. Taking the step beyond LEED or BREEAM towards WELL certification is not a big gap. I think everyone can do it. Right. There are some, let's say, difficulties in terms of timing, you know, like you need to get all this cleaning, you know, no dust particles in the building. You need to do additional tests. So it's more like of a technical aspect to it. Yes, there are design requirements to what materials you can use. It's more inclined to the well-being of the person rather than the well-being of the, let's say, environment, energy efficiency, which is more the focus of LEED and BREEAM.
Right.
So yeah, there is a cost, but it's not a major cost.
WELL certificates because of COVID, and I mean, that's the next step, right?
There is also in all the offices, there is also like a big push to making the building COVID safe. You know, ionization, as Emma said. UV filters in the ducts, you know, all this. Let's say you have elevator panels which are, let's say, contact safe. I mean, the surfaces, they kill any virus that gets into contact with, so you cannot transport the virus from an object to an object. So there are all these activities going on. Yeah, there is some supply difficulties because everyone is starting to procure these systems, which didn't have a very large market before. So yeah, that's a time delay issue, but it's going on. Yeah.
Right. So just a question to the building owners here: is it really the employees that are scared to come to work, or is it more the employers scared to get sued by the employees if they end up sick? I mean, I kind of sometimes I find it hard to imagine these employees are so afraid to come to work when they go on their, you know, giant ski trips, and it's, you know, they're all jammed in hotels that are about 150%, you know, booked already, and you know, putting themselves, let's say, in some kind of danger. And then they go to work and they're all 3 meters apart, and yet this is scary for them. So how are you seeing? Is it because I think at the beginning it was really more the multinational companies or the US-based companies forcing everybody to stay home. And now they've stayed home, it's hard to get them back probably. I mean, where do you see the real, let's say, nervousness here?
I think it's with the employers. I think it's with the multinationals. I think that if it wasn't for them, most of the employees would want to return to work at the moment. This was, and really, I think that what you said, that the multinationals are afraid from the employees suing them, this is the main reason. I really don't see any reason why not to return to the office as it was in Israel last year, to return to the office, not fully, but let's say 50%, keeping enough distance between the employees. It is doable, you can do it. There were, in last year, when the employees returned to the offices in Israel, let's say around May, June, July, they returned in the beginning 30% and then 50%, and you could not find large infections in the office spaces because everybody took care to do to wear masks and so on. So I think that it's only the employers, really. The employees would like to return to the office.
Right. That's kind of what I've seen, you know, when talking to people, that a lot of them have just said, look, they won't even let us, even some of our clients that, you know, they'll just say, look, they won't even let us back in the office. Otherwise they would go. Yeah, right. Okay. So everyone see the same thing, or any differences in that? No?
I actually think that some companies that I have talked to, they had a concern about continuing operations. So like they don't want to have all the people in the office, at least until, you know, like last year when they didn't understand what is going on with this COVID thing, they were like afraid, what is happening if I get a cluster in my office? Everyone is sick. How do I do my business? You know, how do I carry business on? So there was this idea of at least segregating the people that don't meet with each other, you know, between certain teams, segregation between teams, and also maybe this separation between certain teams. A team works from home this week and B team works from the office, and they don't interact. So in case there is, let's say, a COVID contamination of a team, you don't spread it everywhere else. So maybe this was also driven. But now I think people are becoming more relaxed. They know much more about what COVID is, how easy it does spread or doesn't. And of course, all these kind of protection measures that many buildings have implemented do help.
Right. And just on the subleasing, I mean, you know, I think if looking at sort of 2008, 2009, I remember in Warsaw, everyone was afraid to build anything because there was, you know, 200,000 square meters of subletting space. And there was probably, you know, in the end, probably about 20,000 that actually got leased, if anything. It just seems like it's so difficult when, you know, you really get down to the, you know, the entrances, the security, the other issues, and do you really want to be in another company's space, and how long are they, what's their lease, how long are they going to give it to you? I mean, it just seems like it's almost, in reality, I mean, it's a bit scary if you're building a building and there's 100,000 square meters of pre-lease competition, but it seems in reality that never really comes to fruition in any city. I don't know if you have the same views, but it just seems, you know, in some of the deals we've looked at, it just seems impossible for people to, unless it's a whole building or a whole floor, it just ends up being very difficult. So
sublease looks very nice on the face of it, but when you go into the details and you try to strike a deal, there are so many issues to consider that at the end, in most cases, no deal is done.
Yeah, I mean, even just simple things like, oh, where's the restroom at? Oh, well, you have to walk through our office to get to it on the floor or something. Yeah, I mean, just from a safety security issue.
You are right, but I think that the major things like the term of the lease, the rent, usually the landlord is expecting, or the company that is subleasing is expecting to get a higher rent because they want to pay back the landlord. And the lessee wants a very low rent because he's subleasing, and it's very difficult to bring them together. And And usually it's not 5 years, it's less, it's 2 years or 3 years. So it's not easy to agree on these things.
Yeah, and just one of the banks here in Warsaw, I think they said they had something like 60,000 square meters in different locations to lease. And this was going to, you know, kind of destroy the development market. And quite honestly, I don't think in the 8 months they leased any of it. A little bit of it was retail, but most of it was office. And I just think it was probably at the end impossible to find clients for something like that.
There is another issue here. The subleasing has another competitor, flex offices. I mean, the co-working providers, which are more flexible in better financial terms and really providing a solution to be considered. Of course, the option, we had few cases when tenants came, clients came to sublease in our buildings and ended up by leasing from us directly. So this was the selected option. So again, the subleasing is good on the paper, but in real life, it's full of restrictions, as David said. So, but I think that instead of focusing on the subleasing, we should focus to have in all our project a provider of co-working, helping the activity of the developer. They help each other, so they serve each other, let's say. The co-working with tenants from the which lease directly from the developer. So
sure, that's a lot more valuable, definitely. Well, we're coming to, you know, it's amazing how sorry, go ahead. Oh, okay. It's amazing how fast time flies by. We're almost done with our hour. So one thing I'd like to do is just get any sort of final comments or angles that you would just like to bring up. Maybe David Hay, we'll start with you. Any final comments of pearls of wisdom for us for the office market and investors looking in Romania and Southeastern Europe?
I'm very bad at predictions. I'm always predicting the opposite, so don't listen to me.
Yeah.
But I think that the office, as I said before, I see the office market returning to a new normal in not more than 2 years, and I still see it as a very good investment product, and this will not change in the coming years. Not because of work from home, not because of sublease, and not because of other things. The office is a good market, and it will stay like this.
Well, I guess the Morgan Stanley guys think you're pretty good at predicting the future. I would imagine, yeah. Okay, Gio Margescu, if you'll give us kind of some final comments or you know, any pearls of wisdom you think we can use.
I think we'll see a lot of technology integrated into our buildings. So I think real estate and agriculture are the less digitalized industries, and I expect for the years to come, real estate to become one of the most digitalized industries. So I think this is something we should keep an eye on.
Right. Okay, Victor?
Well, I actually think we will have some pressure costs both on acquisition of land plots and also construction costs. So this maybe also lead towards more, let's say, regional cities development as well, which hasn't happened that much.
Okay, and Daniela?
Yes, I will answer also maybe one question left here. Are new projects being considered? That at least to have also some feedback from the investor, and maybe answer also to the question, where are the main investment trends? And from Esimo Romania, at least, you already saw it, that last year we have acquired offices. So we believe, I underline again that we believe in the office market. I'm also said that this COVID accelerated already let's say, the certain tendency, like talking here about the creative spaces. I remember smiling when I saw it a few years ago, the first ping pong table in the offices. They say, wow, So we have it also the creative. COVID will increase also being more creative. Also the companies and the tenants should bring their role in creating and having a safe, indeed productive, enjoyable jobs. This is clear that it will be. And it's clear that then from ESIMO we have the appetite for the suitable and quality buildings, very well located, very well equipped. And as Geo said, this is clear that we are talking about digitalization, that it will be clear part of our office market. Energy performance improvement also is clear that we should have office in the future with near zero consumption and so other things. So energy provided from the renewable sources. So it will come some changes, but we should adapt. On my let's say on my opinion, short-term solution is clear: agility, speed, I don't know, intuition. But long-term solution is clear adaptability to the new times that will come.
Right, great. Yeah, I mean, of course, the zero emissions and low emissions are obviously one of the focuses and more important things that all the developers and investors now are looking at. It's funny, it's interesting all the restrictions too that the countries are putting on these buildings, and yet half the people are still burning their trash at home and causing, Warsaw is one of the worst air quality places in Europe just because of the trash and everybody burning their own things, not because of because the office buildings or the commercial buildings. So yeah, hopefully they'll get all that under control. Emma, if we can jump to you.
Yes, I believe that every crisis is coming with opportunities. And I also believe that in difficult times, the strong companies and the valuable projects are still successful. And again, I'm fortunate to work for a successful company. And AFI Europe just proved last year by concluding, let's say, the most important transaction of all times, by launching in October a shopping center and office building, AFI Brașov project. So in the middle of the pandemic, we launched 40,000 square meters shopping center and 15,000 square meters of office in Brașov. And we also started the second phase of AFI Tech Park, the construction of the second phase of AFI Tech Park office project. So again, we are coming to sustain that the fact that strong companies and good products will still be successful. So even if there is a crisis.
Yeah, great. I mean, I don't remember.
Crises are coming and going, and the real estate market is affected every 3 years, is affected by a crisis, financial crisis, by pandemic crisis, there is a crisis. So the issue is how we are managing to pass this, and the experience and the knowledge, will say, are the most important. So
okay, thanks. And Dieter, we'll wrap up our conference today with your last final comments and pearls of wisdom for investors.
Yeah, I think a lot has been said so far. And I think overall, I mean, the long-term trend is positive. Yeah. And I think being active in the market for over 20 years, I mean, office, I think the first deal we did was an office deal. And even, I mean, we had, of course, a lot of crises over the last 20 years, but I think good quality office assets in good cities, larger cities, I mean, they always had their place. And I think also that's where you will see investors' interest, especially at the moment where I think so many investors, they are extremely bullish on logistics, and yields are going down. This is unbelievable. I mean, no one is at the moment picking up at retail. And office, I mean, we have discussed it right now for an hour. I mean, there are different opinions right now. Should we continue looking at it? So I think that's exactly the right time where there are good opportunities. I think Romania, it's a big country. And I think so that's why we have done already deals, office deals this year, and we will continue financing office transactions and also in Romania.
Right. Well, it seems like the main office buildings in the CBD and any of the capitals over the last 20 years of how many ever crises, they always seem to survive it.
Exactly. No, they did. I mean, you always had vacancy. I mean, even 20%, even probably a little bit more, but then they came back. And of course, you had also fluctuations on rental levels, but good quality office deals. I mean, we never had an issue over the last 20 years. Yeah,
that's what I've seen. You know, you see some of these guys that have done things in some of the regional cities or B-class locations, and they've, you know, some of them still haven't recovered, I think, from 2008 in some cases. But it seems like everything in the CBD and A-class never, you know, maybe has temporary issues. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Well, I want to just say thank you to all of our audience, because we've got quite a lot through our app, quite a lot through Coffee with Craig. It looks like we got about 40 people through that. And through LinkedIn, it looks like we're just a little under 100 still. So great to have that. Of course, on our on Zoom, it's in our app here, it's 30 or 40 as well. So great. Thank you all. I'm going to thank all of our panelists for, you know, your time, and thank you for giving us you know, all the efforts and everything you put in. I know these Zoom calls, you're probably jumping onto the next Zoom call to do something else. So great to have you, and we hope to see you all tonight at 17 or 1900 CET time. And if you're in Romania, obviously 8 o'clock. We have a very good, very interesting, fun event tonight. So we hope to see you all there, and enjoy the rest of the day.